Good morning, everybody. We want to welcome you to today's webinar. Very excited to bring to you a topic that's called From Rear View to the Road Ahead. And what we're really going to focus on today is practical guide to winning with AI in your dealership. I know a lot of you have heard a lot of hype about AI, and we're here to kind of like really help you figure out practical ways to use AI today and even forecast and talk about some of the exciting things that Lightspeed's doing on our product roadmap to even bring more AI into your dealership. And before we dive into the content, I know many of you have been on a lot of our webinars, but we're going to cover the housekeeping rules again. Anytime throughout the Q&A or throughout the webinar, if you have questions, use your Q&A button at the bottom of your screen. You can be entering your questions as you think of those. You'll see we have a very esteemed panelist today to help answer those questions. So anytime you have questions, type them in there. We'll answer them as we can throughout the webinar. We're also going to allow some time at the end of the webinar today to answer a lot of those questions live. And as always, we will be recording the webinar, so we'll make it available for on-demand. So if some of your team members weren't able to join live today, they can also take a look at the on-demand and playback of the webinar. And that's our housekeeping. So without further ado, I want to turn it over to today's presenter, Taylor Allis. And I'm not sure everybody has met Taylor, but Taylor is the Lightspeed Chief Product Officer. So I want to give Taylor just a chance to introduce himself as well. So welcome, Taylor.
Thank you, Diana. It's great to be here. Really excited to talk about some subjects that are near and dear to my heart. As the Lightspeed CPO, I lead our product vision and roadmap and strategy. I've got a long background. I've been building technology for the past 25 years and have had a real focus on AI and using data to our advantage. I've been with Lightspeed for about 7 months, so I'm relatively new, but I came here out of a real passion for this industry. I love outdoor recreation. I actually grew up in a dealership culture, which was pretty exciting. And a fun fact about my family, I actually, if you're an old farmer, tractor collector, my family used to manufacture tractors called Allis tractors. And so we worked with agriculture and farmer dealerships growing up. So a lot of this is in my blood, and to combine technology, AI, and the power sports, marine industries is really exciting for me to be here. So as we mentioned, today's topic is AI. I wanted to set a couple things straight when we talk about AI, and it's interesting as we were doing this webinar, and as I was talking to several folks, you get a lot of dealerships that are on different ends of the spectrum. One spectrum is, this is exciting, I'm an early adopter, I want to try this stuff out. The other is, this thing scares me, it's just a buzzword, oh no, not another vendor talking about AI. I don't want to hear about it anymore. And that's what happens when a major market shift happens. Now, there is a lot of buzzword and a lot of noise around AI, absolutely. But this happens with every technological major shift. And make no doubt about it, we are in one, and don't miss it. And this is a great example I bring up. So we're looking at Steve Ballmer. He was the CEO of Microsoft in 2007. And there was this new buzzword of things coming around the new iPhone, which Steve Jobs just opened up in his keynote address. And Steve Ballmer said there is absolutely no chance that the iPhone is going to get any significant market share. He went on to say it doesn't even have a physical keyboard like the BlackBerry, right? And he obviously was dead wrong at the time. So don't underestimate a major technological shift. When we actually look at the pattern, this is something that me, obviously being in technology, I recognize, but I want to go back in time. And when email first came out, a lot of folks said, hey, it's just a faster fax. Like, it's not going to have a big impact. Well, email became the backbone of business communication that we all use today, or the internet. A lot of people said, well, the internet, its only uses for researchers. Well, it rewired how consumers buy products. Look how important the internet and websites and search engine optimization is for our dealers today, right? So game changing. Smartphone, it's not for real business work, doesn't have a physical keyboard. Well, it changed customer expectations forever. And so with AI, again, a lot of people are saying it's a buzzword, it's just another technology. AI will automate work, but most importantly, it will change how decisions are made. Um, And so when we look at the disruption of I don't like looking at the technology itself. And so when I talk to dealers, I kind of say AI won't disrupt your dealership, right? AI itself, but dealers using AI well, that will. And so the disruption isn't coming from the technology itself. It will come from dealers who've really figured out how to use the technology well. And I also say use the technology well because you could use AI in a poor implementation and it will have a terrible effect. But people and dealers who know how to use it well, that will really grow their business and it will disrupt folks that aren't adopting it. And I wanted to give a real life practical example. So what are we talking about? And a great example is consumers, especially with the iPhone, right? They're 24/7. Here's somebody at night where they got done with their day and they've been looking at an ATV. Your dealer isn't open 24/7, right? But AI agents can be. Let's say they're looking for a unit, they found a unit, but your dealership is closed and nobody responds. And a lot of studies on consumers, they want a response immediately now, right? We're in this kind of immediate response age. But let's say a competitor is using AI. That AI says, hey, I see that you're interested in this 2024 ATV. Can I schedule a test ride with you in the morning? And the consumer says, yes, that'll be great. How about 10 a.m.? And imagine if this happens every week, where you have one dealership down the street, if you will, they are actually responding in real time to consumers when they're looking at particular units. And that's a real difference of somebody using AI well and somebody not using AI. Another thing when I talk about AI is why did you build your dealership in the first place? Now, I would actually love to hear everybody's answers on this and even actually put it in the chat. I know you could ask questions in the chat, but what was the reason you got into this business? And I bet you have wonderful reasons and stories on how you got into the business. But I say this because I know why you did not get into this business. You didn't get into it to manage multiple spreadsheets to chase misleads, to play IT manager across multiple disparate, disconnected systems. You need automation so you could focus time on working with your customers and customer experience. And so this is really the promise of AI, is it actually could really automate some mundane tasks or do items when you're not able to do. So it should augment your customer experience, not detract from it. Um, so back to our webinar core topic here. We want to move our dealerships from rear view analytics to the road ahead, and AI is a tool that we could leverage to do that with. When I talk to dealers, there are three bits of advice. So three things to think about when you're looking at it. Number one, AI, it's simpler than you think to use, and it's far more powerful than you could imagine. And even being a technology guy myself, as I use AI, that saying holds true for me every single day. The first thing that I think is critically important is in AI, data and context are everything. When you look at an AI tool, when you look at an AI vendor, do they know your dealership? Do they know your business? Do they know power sports? Do they know marine? Do they know golf? Do they know trailer? Do they know RV, right? Having that context is everything because having context and process-driven AI that will really wow customers and bring a personal experience to them. If you have generic AI, that is what will frustrate them and come off just as a static robot, if you will. And so having context and having AI know your dealership's personality, your differentiation, your inventory, your unit, your industry, that is critically important for good AI implementation. The second thing I talk to dealers about is AI. It's not one tool, it's many. And unfortunately, you have to take a lot of time to evaluate a lot of different tools, but pick the right AI tool for the right job. Some AI is really good at analyzing patterns. Others understand natural language very well. Others could automate mundane tasks that your employees are doing, where it could free up more time, where they could do more valuable work. And so really look at your dealership processes, map out the workflow of what you're doing. Look at the friction points where there's a lot of friction, either in your operations or your customer experience. And those are areas you could say, well, can AI help here? And is there a tool that could really do that job? The third one, and this is really near and dear to my heart, a lot of people who fear AI or are uncertain about AI, they're like, it replaces people or it will have robotic interactions with my consumers, and my people are my biggest asset, and I want them talking to our consumers. Well, AI should not replace your people or customer interactions. It should amplify them. And I think that's a real mantra that we have here at Lightspeed, and I think we should have in dealerships as well. It's not whether AI is better than humans or humans are better than AI. It's can humans be assisted with AI to make experiences more impactful? So AI should amplify your processes, your people, your consumer experiences, the areas that really differentiate you as a business and dealer. It should help with that and accelerate that, right? Not detract from that. So three rules of thumb of, again, AI, make sure you pick a tool or vendor or partner that knows your industry, knows the context, and trains AI on the context of your own data. Two, AI is multiple tools, not one. Pick the right tool for the right job. And three, AI should amplify your people and your processes. It should not detract from them. And again, your people are your best asset, so AI should keep them that way. AI can handle follow-up items, data for decision intelligence, after hours work, like in that iPhone use case I just showed, the repetitive tasks that drive your employees crazy. Those are the items that AI should really help with. So your team could do what software will never do, and that's build real human relationships with customers. And when I talk to a lot of dealers, a lot of times what you say is your differentiator are your people and the relationships you build with your customers. And so again, that's what AI should help and augment and scale. Um, and that's how I think we should look at it. Um, I'll talk a little bit about where is AI going to show up in our dealerships. And I believe there are five high impact areas that you could use AI. Some of this is very emerging, new stuff. Some of it is actually out and you're hearing all the buzz about it. And so the five high impact areas where AI is impacting the dealership industry. Number one, and this is where you're hearing a lot of the buzzword, and I would say a lot of the large adoption is coming out, is sales and CRM. This is the fastest ROI. This is that use case I showed before where we have AI BDC agents that are having conversations with consumers after hours. We're seeing a lot of dealerships starting to adopt this. It's happening very big in the automotive industry, and it's now really taking off in power sports and marine in our industry. A lot of people that are using AI, they're seeing 32% more conversions because it's more responsive. It's actually alerting sales reps to leads that are aging so they could move on it. It's tracking email opens, engagement patterns. And sales and CRM is a big benefit for using AI. Again, we mentioned 70% faster response times. AI responds when your team can't. We're seeing about more than half of dealers are now starting to engage AIs that work after hours to really engage with consumers and book that meeting or get, schedule an appointment for them to come to your dealership when they're interested after hours. And automate follow-up. A lot of times we know your sales reps get busy on the floor, especially during the seasonal periods or the busy periods. And a lot about bringing a customer back in or closing the deal is all about the follow-up. You have some sales reps that are probably really good at follow-up, maybe others that are not. And this really automates the follow-up. And you could do it with really personalized messages from the particular sales rep. And so this is where I see an impact. And this is really where AI is entering into the dealership space first. The second area is this is where email marketing, campaign marketing, personalization without all the work. So AI could actually, instead of a generic blast to go generate leads and talk about a new promotion that you're having in your dealership, AI could really personalize it. It could actually take the particular unit maybe a customer was interested in. It could use their first name. You could actually have things like actually what we're rolling out here at Lightspeed is we have an email marketing solution embedded in our CRM and our DMS that is being released actually this month to dealers, and it has an AI copywriter. And what that is great for is if you don't have marketing people on staff that could write copy for campaigns, you could prompt AI to say, hey, using my dealership, my theme, this theme for this promotion, please write copy for me so I can actually send a targeted email campaign to my customer list or a list maybe I acquired. And so we're seeing that what AI is helping with marketing is more personalized outreach at scale. And we know more personalized interactions, those are opened quicker and those bring people into your stores a lot faster. And so marketing is a big area. So sales, CRM, marketing, these are the areas that we're seeing AI being introduced from vendors like Lightspeed and other folks in the market that are entering it. The third area, and this is more nascent, this is relatively new, but I'm really excited on how AI is going to really transform our services area, right? And our fixed operations and moving from more being really reactive to being predictive. And so the old way, right? So when units break down, it surprises customers. They want to get something in right away. Well, a lot of the manufacturers, similar to the automotive world, they're starting to follow it with some of these units as they're starting to put telematics in it and more data that's coming out of the units itself. And so that's exciting for our future because that could actually trigger something before a breakdown happens, or we could start service scheduling, when maintenance is coming up for a particular vehicle, and that will actually bring people into your shop proactively. Scheduling based on who calls in first, right? That happens a lot. Well, AI, we're going to have a lot new AI service schedulers that could actually interact with consumer calendars and also your technician and your work bays where we could intelligently manage that load and schedule that. So think about how much time or even frustration or friction is in the technician scheduling process. Well, if we could automate that between consumers and your techs, that would be a great experience and help you run more efficient operations. Generic reminders, right? We could do outreach tied to actually unit service inventory or customers calling in to say, hey, is that ready yet? Or how much more time is it going to take? Well, we could actually look at what your technician is doing and send automated text to the consumer before they call and say, hey, we just finished this part of our maintenance and we're moving on to this next. And our estimated time is 2 to 3 hours, right? And so this is very new. This is emerging, but I think it could really transform what we do in services, which is really exciting. Inventory also, as we talk about, again, more ways to track vehicles on your floor. Stop guessing, start knowing. Flag slow moving units 3 to 4 weeks before your flooring costs increase. Adjust your pricing dynamically as conditions shift and based on what your floor count is. And so our inventory management is really going to be far more advanced. But again, this is very new. This is very nascent. There's just emerging technology coming out in here. I think the biggest impact that AI will have, and this is where I'll do a little bit of a deeper dive on, and what we're doing here with Lightspeed, this is really for decision intelligence. When you look at how you run your dealership, you've got a lot of questions on how sales is going, how unit, where you are in margins. And a lot of times you ask those questions and you get historical information, and you have to use very complex business intelligence tools sometimes or ask people to kind of turn around a report so you can make a decision. And that takes a lot of time and a lot of money. Well, this is where AI could really be useful and move us from the rear view to the road ahead. Imagine using a natural language question where you just ask a system a question and you get an instant report and you get an instant answer versus asking somebody a question and waiting for a customized report that comes 3 to 4 days later. And then you say, that's not really what I was looking for. I want to look for another report. And it takes, hours, days, weeks before you get that information to make good decisions about your dealership. This is what we want to change. This is what we think the future of DMS is. So these are the top 5 areas, and I am really excited to announce for the first time on this webinar the new Lightspeed AI Command Center. And this is actually what we've taken is the most powerful AI tools, and we've embedded it within our Lightspeed DMS, and we've created an AI Command Center where you could actually leverage AI to get any information about your own in particular dealership. And this has all the context of 40 years of Lightspeed data. And instead of explaining to you the benefits or explaining all the features, I think the best thing is to demo it to everybody. So let me give you a sneak peek of what our AI Command Center looks like. So I'm in the Lightspeed platform, and now I'm going to type a question. I want to generate a chart showing my average margin on units in 2025 on a monthly basis, right? Because I'm in 2026, I want to look at my historical trends so I can make some decisions. Boom, right there, I've got a chart. So imagine that I ask a natural language question, a chart is there immediately. Now I get the answer. Here's your average unit margin. Your highest margins were in May and April and March. Your lowest margins were in September, December, and October. I'm looking at peak volumes here that you had it. I see a strong spring performance, so I'm starting to notice seasonal patterns about the business. Here is your average annual average margin. And then I've got this chart, right? I could export this, I could paste it into a PowerPoint, I could share it with other people or my management in the dealership. I could look at the seasonality patterns. I could get feedback, give me a bar chart, give me a pie graph, right? And it will generate that on the fly. This is what's super exciting. Now I'm asking, based on this information, how can I improve my Q3 and Q4 performance? So essentially, I want to look at historical performance because I want to finish the year strong. Well, now I'm asking AI, how could I actually finish the year strong? And now, based on all the data in my own dealership, I get some answers here. Well, there's some cost control opportunities with your Q4 unit costs and them averaging this much. Or I've got inventory timing where I could do. Or here is, you could actually shift the mix of your brands. Your Q4's top seller switched from Yamaha to Polaris. So that actually might indicate different cost structures. And again, this is all your own personalized data that AI is analyzing and on your behalf, right? We looked at your dealer parts revenue. And then here's where I really like, it's like, well, here's some suggestions. If you really want to improve your performance by the end of the year, you could do some preseason inventory planning, right? Order Q3, Q4 inventory a little bit earlier to get ready for that seasonality spikes that we see here in your data, or have better pricing discipline, especially around margin targets, especially around high volume periods, or you could do some cost negotiation. We see in Q3, Q4, the volume of your deals are going to go really up. You could talk to the manufacturer about this. Or you could actually do upsales for higher parts revenue, right? And not only does this actually tell, based on looking at your own data, like here are some strategies that you could deploy. And at the end of the day, you're in control. Like you'll make these decisions, but this is really helping you get instant answers immediately so you can make informed, empowered decisions about your dealership. A next step, we could analyze specific make model profitability to identify which units you really want to emphasize or avoid in Q3 and Q4. And based on your most profitable units, maybe you could do an email marketing campaign around that to really kind of spike sales around there to get your margins up. And so this is, again, and by the way, we're calling these coaches. And our first version of this AI Command Center, it will be a sales coach. And so what we're training this on is if you deploy this and use this within your dealership, we will train it on your own data, but it uses the 40-year history of power sports data that we have within the Lightspeed database. And it uses that context to make these recommendations or make the reports for you. And so again, a really, really powerful tool to kind of put you in the driver's seat, if you will, to empower you with decisions where you could get it instantaneously. And when I look at that too, like that demo, again, when I was asking those questions and I got the responses, that took 11 seconds. So think about how much time it takes you to get the data out of our system today, right? It takes teams hours, sometimes days. And so again, taking the ability for you to get data instantaneously on that is huge. And like I said before, our first version is a sales coach. And so it will talk about your sales data, your unit data. Our future versions of AI Command Center will have a parts coach, a finance coach, a services coach. So every aspect of your business, we could have AI that really helps you with decision intelligence. I mentioned before that AI without context is just noise, right? So you hear a lot of buzz about AI solutions. I wanted to show you the Lightspeed solution today. And context is the real differentiator, right? If you have a generic AI tool or even something coming from automotive, a lot of these AIs, they don't know how trade-ins work within the power sports or marine world, or that, repair event cycle time is a lot longer in marine than it would be in other different areas, or how accessories really factor into the profitability when you talk about these different areas. Does it know your key metrics? Does it know the unique aspects of golf, trailer, RV, marine, power sports? And that's really the advantage that we have working with so many dealers over so many years within Lightspeed. And just a snapshot of the data that we process, 159 billion in total transactional dollars across parts, service, and sales, 1.7 million units sold, 12.8 million service repair order jobs, right? Down to our manufacturer integrations, we're 22 million unique unit identifiers. These are all areas that bring context to AI and make it personalized and could actually give great interactions and advice to help you make empowered decisions about your dealership. So wanted to share today exciting stuff that we're doing at Lightspeed, but how AI is really going to really transform and grow our dealership market and space. And it's really your dealership, your move, right? I think there's some great tools and great solutions out there that really give us a good roadmap to the road ahead where we could do things. And before we go into Q&A, I wanted to leave everybody with two practical examples or two practical actions that you could do right away to get started. So number one, at the beginning, I mentioned there are these two end of the spectrums, right? One, I'm a little nervous about AI, or I don't like it. I'm not sure about it, to, man, this stuff is exciting. I want to jump in. So if you're on the one end of the scale where you don't know how impactful AI is, you might see that it's a buzzword. I would just experiment with it now. There are a lot of free tools out there that you could use. Chat, GPT, Cloud, and Gemini are three that I use. ChatGPT, it's really good at email copy, drafts, document summaries. You could actually give it your website and say, hey, will you analyze my dealership website compared to others and see what it does? You could do that for free. So that's a way to kind of experiment with it. Claude, I use a lot. It's really good for what we call long form reasoning. That could be something you could upload like a dealer agreement or a contract or something and say, hey, look at the last contract and what changed between the terms, right? And so that's something you could do with Claude or Gemini. A lot of the images in this PowerPoint was generated by Gemini. I said actually create, those images of a dealership called Edge Motorsports. Gemini actually created those images, and so you could go in there and create images around your dealership. So these are all free. You could get the paid area, you could get them proprietary for your own dealer, or you could use the free version and just experiment with it and learn. So I encourage everybody to do that. If you are an early adopter, and so I gave a demo of AI Command Center. We are internally testing that now, and we are going to release that to a limited access of early adopters that want to be a Lightspeed AI pioneer. And so I'm announcing on this webinar a Lightspeed AI pioneer program. You will get early access to the AI Command Center that I demoed. We will load your own dealer data into it. And so you could actually get insights about your own dealer data. You'll get a direct line to the Lightspeed product team and myself. And it will really shape the roadmap for us. And so we're looking for folks that could extensively test that AI, use it, give us feedback how well it's working. And we're going to actually test it with these Lightspeed AI pioneers before we make the AI Command Center generally available. If you want to join our program, please scan the QR code. Again, we only have a limited amount of dealers that we're going to allow early access for, but please scan that QR code. And then there's a quick survey, and we'll let you know if we could have you to sign up to join the program. But again, we're really excited about leveraging AI, and we're really excited about this AI Pioneer program. Scan that code if you want to join us. So that's it for the webinar section. We're going to move to Q&A. If you need to drop off, you can, or we'll stay a couple minutes doing Q&A with our panelists here. So,
Excellent.
Diana, I'll turn it back over to you.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you so much, Taylor. Great presentation. Get excited about what AI can do today and certainly the future with the Lightspeed AI Command Center. I think we got a lot of interested people, so we have some great questions too. And I know we've got a panelist kind of crew here to look at those. One of the questions that came into Taylor that maybe you can address, and we've heard this before too, is like, what are we doing to manage AI hallucination? What is Lightspeed able to do around that?
Yeah, I love that question because, and so for folks that are not familiar, a hallucination is just a way of saying AI sometimes makes stuff up. So, how do we get hallucinations out of the AI? How do I ensure that it's giving me accurate information? That's something very, very near and dear to my heart. And the short answer is we tested extensively. So what we've done at Lightspeed is we built it inside our own proprietary firewall within our system. We're building an AI platform that's embedded with the DMS. And the one thing how you get rid of hallucinations is you use our own proprietary data and the data of your own dealership. And a lot of the AIs that make hallucinations, they go out to the internet and they pull anything from the internet. We have a private, secure AI inside of our DMS, and we only train it on our power sports data and marine data and the data of all of our dealerships. The second thing we do is we test it extensively. So that AI Command Center, we've actually had a live version since January, right? And we've actually been testing it extensively within our product team. Once we hit a threshold that it's accurate and there are no hallucinations in it, we have now turned it over we have about 30 Lightspeed employees that are testing it internally. A lot of our Lightspeed employees are former dealers, right? And so we're having them test it, and we've got feedback loops to say if they see any inaccuracies, they'll provide that to our development team and we'll update it. We are now at a stage where we're inviting early adopter customers, these AI pioneers, to come in, and they'll come in and test it. And they are feedback loops. If they see any inaccuracies or any issues, they'll give us that feedback and we'll fix it. And so know that once we make this AI generally available, it will be on your own proprietary data. It will be behind all of our security firewalls, and it would have been gone through 3 major testing phases to make sure that it's accurate. And so we take that very seriously, and that's kind of the program on how we're rolling out AI here.
Excellent. Thanks, Taylor. That's a great response to that because I know it's one we hear a lot too. A couple of other questions have come in just, around general availability. I know you talked a little bit about the AI Pioneer program, but lots of excitement. People are wondering when it's actually going to be available and kind of what's in the first releases. And then you touched on this during the presentation, but when will we see it for all of Lightspeed? I know you mentioned it starts with sales, and so people are just kind of looking at a general timeline.
Yep, exactly. So if we talk in quarters, so in Q1, we now have this AI Command Center for sales in limited availability for our AI pioneers. That means in Q2, and it's hard to pin which month in Q2, but let's just say by the end of Q2, we will have this sales AI available for all dealers who want to use it. So that'll give us a good 30, 60 days for our AI pioneers to test it. Once we've tested it and we've hit a threshold where we're really comfortable with it, we'll then release it as a product available to everybody. And then what we'll do is we'll just do quarter by quarter. After we release the sales AI agent, we'll go to the next one, which, and I forget, Brian, I don't know what's next on the roadmap. Is it services or is it?
I'd say we're still deciding that, but yeah, services is high on the list.
Okay, so we're looking at services. By the way, our AI Pioneer program, that's what's also going to dictate what's next, right? So we would target Q3, we would have another AI coach, Q4, and so we're releasing these quarterlies, but we're leaning towards services. However, the sign up of these dealerships, and again, our mantra, as you guys know, is designed by dealers for dealers. We want our dealers to come in, test our sales AI, and then say, you know what? Parts coach would be best coming out next versus services. And so right now we're thinking of services and then parts and then finance and kind of in that order, quarter by quarter. But our AI pioneers, they're really going to help shape our roadmap because they're the ones that are people. We want this to get in the hands of people that are actually operating dealerships and using it. So it's not somebody in a product ivory tower just thinking what the roadmap is. It truly is driven by our AI pioneer players.
Yeah, excellent. I think that covered a lot of the questions that were out there. And I know, Taylor, like part of the Pioneer program too is even to, get real dealer input, because one of the big questions that's out here too is like, what's the cost? And I think maybe that's something you can address as well.
Yes. So for our AI pioneers, there'll be no charge for being in the pioneer program while they're doing the trial period. We are going to actually test the costing areas with them as well of what the price would be. AI is very unique. There's a lot of different ways to price it. We've got a couple models in mind on how to charge for it and for what and for how much. But that's another thing we want to test with our AI pioneers. And so anybody that signs up for an AI Pioneer, they will get it for their dealership and they'll use it for this year that they're testing it at no additional charge, no fee for that. We will be testing our pricing models. And then when we release it for general availability, that's when we'll actually have a final cost and pricing model. But we're going to actually vet that through our dealership AI Pioneers before we announce the pricing.
Perfect. I thought I do love that we get, the input on that. A big part, like how valuable is it? Is it really helping you? What are you willing to pay to really have that automation and support and coaching? Maybe is right within your dealership.
Yeah.
Panel, I know you guys have been looking at some of the questions too. I don't know if there's any other key ones that I've missed here. I do know that there was questions, like a couple of people were having problems maybe with the QR code. So I'm just going to drop into the chat the direct link to the sign up page as well. So you should be able to get that from the link that's in the chat. People have also asked if the recording will be available, when we'll get the presentation. The recording will be available in the next 48 hours. And if you want to see the presentation, we always post that as well with the recording. So you'll get those in the next 48 hours.
And one question I wanted to call out, if it's okay. Somebody asked a question about multi-locations. So if you have multi-store support, the answer to that is yes. So the system's built with multi-store support in mind. Often you're doing reporting at a store level, and we can absolutely support that. But we're building it with access to the entire company, so you've got access across stores. As Taylor mentioned, our first focus is going to be on sales and enabling that group. Shared accounting, I know is a question, and accounting is really important. We want to make sure we get that right. So that will come. But it'll definitely be possible to ask questions that compare and look for information across all locations, if you have access in the system to see it.
And maybe, Brian, that leads into a little bit too. People are asking about even who has access, how's the security, how's it set up by roles? I mean, I think that's kind of being defined even in the Pioneer, but that's maybe an area to address as well.
Yeah, you bet. We're leveraging the same access that you have in the system today. So if you have access across locations, if you have access to those other stores, then you should have access here. We're limiting, the questions here really are going to start with sales managers. So we're looking at individuals that typically have access to some of that data in the store already. But high on our minds and in our priorities is to keep this data secure. As Taylor mentioned, this is behind our firewalls, our security. We're extra careful with where this information goes and making sure that only the right individuals inside the organization see it. So we'll refine that if we need to through this Pioneer program. Give you the right controls, but that is the goal, is to make sure that all of that is accessible to the right people.
We also recently rolled out a new roles-based security system where it allows you to define a role and you could assign your individual employees to a role. So it makes a lot of managing the permissions a lot easier. So any of the roles permissions that you have, or if you're using our newer roles-based product, all that will be inherited by this AI area. So that's another great point, is a lot of people are worried about, if I ask AI, will it give somebody data that they shouldn't see? And the short answer is it inherits. If they do not have access to that data with their role within the system, they will not see it. So it will absolutely follow the roles and permissions that you set up within your own dealership around Lightspeed.
Great. That was a big question. I think we had more than one person asking that, so I'm glad we addressed that. Maybe time for one more question. I don't know if there was anything else that the panel has seen that's come in as well.
Seeing one, and Taylor, you may have addressed this, but I thought I would maybe bounce it off you, and hopefully don't put you on the spot. But there's been a few questions about the different coaching, the module-related coaching, sales, service, and parts. And there's a question: is there an accounting coach planned?
Yes, absolutely. Accounting. And again, we're gonna follow this rollout. One, we're gonna prioritize these coaches based on demand, and I bet you accounting is going to be in high demand. And we're going to do this rollout where we train it on your data, we test it internally first, and then we'll have some early adopters test it. Then we'll make it general available. So we don't have a published roadmap yet on exactly when each of these will coming out, but as soon as we'll do that. But an accounting coach is absolutely on the roadmap.
Excellent.
There,
Okay, well, I
Diane,
know go ahead, Brian, go ahead.
no, I was going to move on to another question, but go ahead and finish.
Go ahead. We'll do one more question.
Gordon asked, do you think AI would replace reports and creation of reports? I think that's such an insightful question. Thank you for asking it, Gordon. I think the answer to that question, I believe, is yes, at least for a lot of the use cases of what people are wanting reports. I mean, tell me if this sounds familiar in your organizations, but Monday morning comes and you're trying to gather everything for your huddle with your team, and it's like hours of pulling reports together to try and gather the information you need. The goal here is to make that way more accessible and easier to ask. I do think there's still probably a place for reports. There's good reasons to print out standard reports or to export data in a way that you can do some analysis. But by and large, I think a lot of the use cases we see in dealerships is asking questions. Tell me what this looks like. What does it mean? And the nice thing about this AI system, Taylor showed it in the demo, is it's not one and done. Like, you ask for some information, and naturally you may have other questions like, oh, that's really interesting. Tell me why we have that one spike this one month. I want to dig into that a little bit more. And you could ask several follow-up questions to go explore parts of the data. I think in broad terms, if we've succeeded, which is we're excited about, is this will be a much easier way to interact with your information and get data out.
Yeah, I think that's such a great question, because we talked about that here internally as well. So you'll have obviously all of our business intelligence and custom reporting tools. I think there might be some custom reports that folks will, they spend a lot of time on. They'll continue to do that. A lot of the AI reports that come out right now, there isn't as much customization as you could do with a custom report. Like, it'll generate a chart like you saw, but you might say, well, I want to move this or move that. You might have a little bit more leeway with our customization tools, but I think as AI technology advances, you could actually even do far more customization with it. So it's kind of a time scale, and we will have both, right? And so you will have our custom reporting, as everybody are trained on and are using that, but then you'll also have this AI where you could generate a report on the fly. And I think as we'll look at that, maybe you use both, and over time, maybe you just rely more on AI because it's a lot faster, easier, and it gets a lot more custom.
Excellent. Well, I appreciate everybody joining us today and learning a little bit more about AI for your dealership, and specifically learning more about the launch of the Lightspeed AI Command Center. Excited to see hopefully many of you in our Pioneer program, so we're looking forward to that. Taylor, thanks again for an excellent presentation, and we hope to see all of you on one of our next webinars.
Awesome. Thank you.